All right. Oh, I don't know what happened to my camera here. All right, and we are back here on the GSMC football podcast. And for the second part of the show, we're going to get into discussing Jordan Love's injury as well as talking about the Brazil game from Friday. So, yeah, apologize for the camera falling over, but at least it didn't freeze because, that usually happens. But, anyways, yeah, let's get into that. So, Jordan Love got hurt. And you guys know how many times I say, look, as long as we avoid injuries this year, we'll be fine, even though they're inevitable. Well, it's already starting. And, it continued into the day yesterday. But yeah, it's already starting. Jordan Love ended up getting hurt on the second to last play of the game. So what happened was they were trying to throw a Hail Mary. Well, not on that play, but they were trying to get into that range to throw a Hail Mary to try to win, and maybe Jordan Love would have had his Hail Rodgers moment. Because how many Hail Marys did Aaron Rodgers hit with Green Bay? So on the second to last play, well, first Jordan Love made a great play. He threw a nice pass to Jaden Reed on the sideline to get them, in a good position to throw a Hail Mary. Then on the next play, he's trying to, avoid getting sacked, and he throws a backward pass to Josh Jacobs, and Josh Jacobs is able to get out of bounds. But on that play, Jordan Love got brought down awkwardly, and he was hurt. And, he was writhing in pain, and, they were able to help him off the field, and he was putting some weight on the leg that got hurt, that was injured. So that was at least a little bit encouraging in the moment. But then again, people were saying, some of my coworkers were like, well, look at what happened with Aaron Rodgers last year. He stood up after he got sacked, and, this is with the torn Achilles, and then he went back down to the ground. But he walked off the field and was able to get on the cart under his own power. So that really didn't matter. But as we got into Saturday, we got more updates. Jordan Love's ACL was intact, and it's believed that he has an MCL sprain, and the timeline of that injury is 3 to 6 weeks. But he could be back sooner, and I think he will be back sooner. But that is a huge blow to this Packers team. Well, because that's the most important position. And did Jordan Love play great in this game? No. But you know what? Both quarterbacks didn't. This was a sloppy game. But before I get into that, I just want to keep talking about Jordan Love here, though. It's going to be tough for the Packers. Even with it being, a couple of weeks that he's out. Because I think he'll be back within 3 weeks. That's my guess. And I'm not a doctor at all. No experience in the medical field. Don't want any experience because let the medical professionals handle it. I don't know how they do it. I really don't. But you're not going to see me operating on a person. That's just not happening. But anyways, I think my guess is he's going to be back within the 3 week time frame. But with that being said, though, the Packers are 0-1, and looking at their schedule, it's not like they have this gauntlet of a schedule coming up. But now with Jordan Love being out, they really, they really didn't address the backup quarterback position. They traded for Malik Willis, who came in the very last play to try to throw the Hail Mary, and he got sacked. So the Packers the next 3 weeks, if he comes back within that time frame. But we'll go to week 6. The 3 to 6 weeks they say, if it's the max of 6 weeks. They take on the Colts at home next week. They're at the Titans, home against the Vikings, at the Rams, and then home against the Cardinals. So if the Packers, let's say Jordan Love is out until we get to week 7 when they play the Texans, If the Packers could go maybe 2-4 or 2-3, 2-3 actually. Jordan Love comes back. If they're around there, I mean, it's not terrible. I guess the good thing is that the Packers have 3 home games. I mean, the Rams game, that one's the toughest game. But the way the Titans looked, well, actually, I would say the Colts is right up there too. The way the Titans played yesterday, I mean, they should have won that game, but the way Will Levis played yesterday, I mean, I give the Packers a good chance, even though that game is in Tennessee. At home against the Vikings, I mean, Sam Darnold looked good. And that was the game I was at. He looked good. But, yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, and especially if you have a backup quarterback that just really cannot generate anything. Now, there are options out there they can maybe potentially trade for another quarterback. Ryan Tannehill is a name that has constantly come up, so maybe they go out and they could bring him in. I think if you want to do that, because I don't know about Malik Willis. I don't know if he is the answer there. I think you should try to get an upgrade at the quarterback position. And again, it's not a long-term commitment. Jordan Love is not going to be out for the whole year. He's coming back at some point. But you don't want this season to unravel and have this steep mountain to climb. You want to have at least a little bit of a hill. Because the Packers could overcome that. Because I think they're a good enough team that they'll be... Like I said, if Jordan Love comes back and the Packers are 2-4, it's not the end of the world. But, yeah, just a huge blow to the Packers, and hopefully, Jordan Love gets back quick. Because, I was looking forward to see what he could do. And, now we're going to be without him for a couple weeks. And, it would have been nice to see him go up against Anthony Richardson. Because Anthony Richardson balled out yesterday. I know the Colts lost a tough game, but, from what I saw, he played really well. And the Colts got to be very encouraged by that. But let's get to the game. Now, very sloppy game. Very sloppy game. I mean, the very first run by Saquon Barkley, he fell for the Eagles. Both quarterbacks just were inconsistent at times. There were turnovers by both teams. It just was a very sloppy game. The field conditions, I'm sorry, they were not great. That field was a mess. And it's not just Saquon Barkley. Players are slipping all over the place. And I'm not going to blame the field for why Jordan Love got hurt. It's just, it was a freak injury. The player on the Eagles, Carter's trying to make a tackle and, tackled him the wrong way. And, he was getting some rude messages on his social media account. And there's no place for that. There's no place for that. That shouldn't be happening. So, he was dealing with that, posted him on his Instagram story, and just some of the messages, I mean, it's horrible. It really is. But, yeah, so it just, the field was not great, and I know some players were skeptical about it, and they had every right to be. That just was not... That should not have been a field to be played on. Now, it was great that the NFL had a game being played in Brazil, but got to do better with the field conditions. So the final score ended up being 34-29. But yeah, like I said, sloppy game. Both quarterbacks turned the ball over. Jordan Love had a pick in this game. Jalen Hurts had a couple of interceptions. Xavier McKinney had a pick. His first game as a Packer. But Jalen Hurts also fumbled the ball too. So Jalen Hurts had 3 turnovers in this game. And what did I say? Jalen Hurts has to eliminate the turnovers, or reduce the turnovers at least. And already he had a 3-turnover game. But then he made some good plays, like the touchdown to A.J.Brown to open up the second half, the throw to Saquon Barkley. So it was a mixed bag for Jalen Hurts, and it was a mixed bag for Jordan Love because he threw a pick, but connected with Jaden Reed, sorry. 4 receptions for 138 yards, and he had 3 touchdowns in this game. He really had an unbelievable game. Josh Jacobs was their leading rusher for the Packers, but Saquon Barkley, and let me tell you something. It's only 1 week, but Giant fans, they really miss Saquon Barkley. 24 carries, 109 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, and then a receiving touchdown as well. He looks great with the Eagles, which I'm not surprised. He's running behind a very good offensive line, although the fumble, I actually will say, the fumble that happened that Hurts lost, that was on, a botched snap. So, they got Cam Jurgens now starting with Jason Kelce retiring. They got to get on the same page there. And we saw, Hurts having a conversation with Jurgens on the sideline. But Saquon Barkley, an unbelievable game. Not really surprised. And, also from a fantasy perspective, because I did approach one of my drafts differently than I did others. I should have had the same approach across the board, and I would have had Saquon Barkley in 3 of the 5 leagues that I'm in. He was spectacular. And that's going to continue. That's what you're going to see. So, but yeah, both defenses didn't really play well. A lot of penalties in this game. It was a very, very sloppy game. But you know what? There was sloppy football across the board. It wasn't just this game. So, once we get more into the season, we're going to see better football, but just very sloppy. And the field conditions did not help. So, let me know what you guys think, though, about this game. What were some of your takeaways from it? Again, wishing Jordan Love a speedy recovery. Hopefully, he gets back, the minimum 3 weeks, because the Packers need him. And we'll see. We'll keep an eye on what the Packers do if they bring in another quarterback. But before we go to break, just want to remind you guys, once again, to tip or donate and get your comments recognized, make sure to go to the $ icon in the chat. This will create a super chat that you can put on the live broadcast. I will acknowledge it. And it just makes the show more interactive between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. We appreciate your guys' viewership each and every day. Any contribution that you can make to the show means the world to us. Also, the alternative way to help out the show is by going to the link on the ticker at the bottom of the show segment, GSMCPodcast.net. Like I said, we appreciate your guys' viewership each and every day. So we're going to continue right along here. When we come back from our next break, we'll get into the thrilling Sunday Night Football matchup finish between the Rams and the Lions. So, with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.